Broadcasting to you from the loading ready run orbiting underground moon base, it's the LRRcast! Hello everybody, it is another LRRcast. This time it's the one that some of you have been waiting for.
And some of you have been fearing.
It's the every 3 months. It is the quarterly review.
Yeah.
The 2015 fall season anime roundup and 2016 winter preview.
Yes.
Winter wrap-up?
Mm-hmm. Winter wrap-up?
Yes.
No, that's next one we use, winter wrap-up. So, joining us on the in the studio, as you can see, but also for you that need to hear, it is me, it's Beej. Hello.
I'm here as well. I'm Ian.
I'm also here. My name is Cori.
My name is Heather. I'm not lost yet.
And so the four of us are going to be rounding up the things that we have seen in the previous season, and then we will go into the new season. And we've decided, so this doesn't take another hour and 45 minutes, we will be limiting ourselves to what we'll be talking about.
Specifically to things that we think are worth talking about,
Well,
rather than just listing everything we want.
Yeah, because as you've probably realized, like I watched like 6 or 7.
Everything.
I forced Heather to watch 6 or 7 things with me last season, so
really
we won't talk
awful
about all of
things.
them. Yeah. If you want to hear about other things, if you end up asking questions like, oh, did you guys watch this? Did you guys watch that? Probably just better to come to our streams.
Ask us on Twitter. We probably watched it, but
Twitter's good too.
if we
Twitter.
If we don't have anything to say about it, we aren't going to say anything about it because
You can also add yourself to my professional network on LinkedIn.
You don't have LinkedIn.
I don't have LinkedIn.
I have LinkedIn.
We have to get LinkedIn.
You can add me, and I'll invite Beej just repeatedly until he answers your questions.
I recently found out that is how sex workers find out whether people are legitimate or not, is they ask them for a
LinkedIn referral?
show me your LinkedIn profile.
Is that an anime you watch?
So now I know what LinkedIn is good for.
wow, Cassandra has endorsed you on LinkedIn. Anyway,
Can we get back on topic?
No.
What'd you watch, Beej?
We're going to start with me, really?
yeah,
Yeah, that's what we said.
Okay, cool. Young Blackjack.
okay.
Okay.
All right. And
Yeah, Young Blackjack. I'm a big fan of Blackjack, and I've seen the OVAs, which are more dramatic and whatever, and then watched the TV series, which is a little more lighthearted. And I didn't know what to expect with Young Blackjack. And from the design of it, and from what you can see going on in the background, it is a much more dramatic show. And there is drama and there is some action, and it is so dumb. And it is dumb in that wonderful Blackjack way, where
There's
he does
so many rose thorns.
Yeah.
I would like to correct.
And the font is so gothic.
The thing. It's more like ridiculous drama.
It is.
Yeah.
Not just drama.
Like he goes to Vietnam. Like, well, the thing is, the Blackjack is supposed to take place around that era. When Young Blackjack, it takes place around that era when the Vietnam War had just gotten started up as well. So you don't see a lot of technology, obviously, and it does concentrate a lot more on, hey, what can I do with a scalpel and forceps?
Wasn't there an episode about cyborgs?
Metal Gear.
What do you mean I love technology?
It was in the late 1960s.
So I'll say that this one lost me,
Yeah.
sort of because of the cuts to the really abstract shots instead of focusing on kind of specifics of what he's supposed to be doing.
Well, there's a lot of like the moments where it's like, look at what he's doing, and he does these amazing
Abstract knots in the air with
Yeah.
the string, and that's it.
And
That's
that's
all
kind
you
of
see
it.
of the surgery,
Yeah.
which is not the part that I like about Blackjack.
Yeah, there's precious little focus on the surgery. There's a lot of focus on like driving the story forward, and you know that it's going to end up badly for him every episode because
you know his future.
yeah, this is literally this is how he started and then became what he became. But I loved all that because it was like I walked into it knowing this is what I know what happens to Blackjack before he is or after he is just Hazama. And yeah, that I really enjoyed those kind of moments. Though it was frustrating, of course, to see him run into these brick walls all the time. But that's what happens. And it is based on a manga, but a manga that was not done by Tezuka. So I don't know how that all worked out, but it probably had somebody's blessing. It's good. I liked it. Who's next?
Ian.
I guess I'm next. I guess I'd get to talk about one of the things I watched this season. Something that people have been asking me if I watched the whole time through. It's Mobile Suit Gundam Iron Blood Orphans, or Kidou Senshi Gundam Tekketsu no Orphans. And whoo boy, did I not expect this show to be as good as it was.
Yeah.
Because it's not a Universal Century.
Yeah, normally I'm not I don't touch non-Universal Century Gundam series because I've been burned before by Gundam Wing and Gundam Seed and Gundam 00 and everything that's not a real Gundam. But this is also not a real Gundam, but it turns out it's really good.
You loved G Gundam, though.
Yes, but
Yeah.
that could technically possibly be Universal Century. It's far in the future, Beej, when everything's weird and cities lifted off the ground. But that's not
Fine.
Iron Blood Orphans.
No, okay.
And Iron Blood Orphans is different from the other series, like other Gundam series, in that while most Gundam series are really concerned, the ones I like, the
Yeah.
Universal Century are really concerned with the politics of the time and the nature of the military and how it gets used on both sides of a conflict. This series seems to be a lot more focused on ideas of family and companionship
Okay.
and camaraderie rather than
And it's got the
than
best
military.
ending theme of the year.
It's certain, yeah, and you know what? I always have a soft spot for shows that have a really good opening and ending theme. Sometimes you get shows with an opening and ending that that are really good,
Yeah.
like our old friend Himiko Den from the early 2000s and Brain Powered, and then the series is absolute garbage. But
Shame.
this is one of those series from this season where it was perfect all the way through. Like I didn't skip the opening theme in any of the episodes I watched, and I always looked forward to the ending theme. And they do that wonderful thing where they start playing the ending theme in the last couple minutes, like not just the first opening bars, but sometimes you'll get a minute or two of the extended version
And
of the
everyone
theme.
talks over it.
Exactly. Yeah. And they've got the karaoke version, and it's all very good. The animation's great, and I'm still not sold on the mech design though. It seems a little bit off, but I like my mechs chunky.
You watched the whole thing. It's a good show, but you're still not. Are you waiting for them to come back and do more to sell you on the mech design?
Because this is one of those series that's continuing on into the winter season.
Oh, I see.
We're getting more of it. You know what? Maybe by the end the story will
You'll
win
be
me
used to
over.
it?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It'll win me over completely, and I'll be, oh yeah, I will have fond memories of everything, including the Gundams.
The Gundam looks as mechy as a mechs.
But a lot of the other mechs are more like tanks.
Well, okay.
And even the Gundam itself is kind of, I don't like it.
So, a recommendation?
Definite recommendation. It's on my list of great shows of this past season.
Cool.
Corey.
Okay, let's see. I will start off with Digimon Adventure Tri Reunion.
Yay!
That's what I watched.
Again?
No, it finally came out.
Yeah, no, it's been watched now as opposed to
Yeah.
anticipation.
So this was up on Crunchyroll as a 6-episode chunk, but it's actually just like a single OVA. But they still inserted like an opening and ending between them, and they redid the original Digimon Japanese opening for it. There's like a re-release, which was nice.
Digimon are the champions.
Yeah, and I think I might actually go and rewatch 1 and 2 because I kind of forgot that there were 8 main characters.
Oh, wow.
And they've introduced a new one, and I'm just like, they've gone through like all of the evolutions and all of the reacquainting everyone, and I'm just like, I don't remember if I care about.
Oh, yeah, this is the
character at
one
all.
where it's like, this is everybody, but like 10 years later.
It's like
6.
6.
Okay.
6 years. It's 3 years from the end of season 2, but 6 from the end of season 1.
So now they're in high school. They're not.
They're in high school and trying to get entry for college, or traveling around the world with their jobs, making millions of dollars,
And
as children do.
And but they still have their Digimon.
They've been separated from the Digimon for a while, it seems like, but they still carry around all of their devices.
Okay.
Their Digidevice.
The original one, right?
Yeah, the original
Yeah,
one.
I like the original one.
Their Digimon actually seek them out in the real world. And it seems like Digimon have broken into the real world, and there's something going on, and there's an organization in the real world for tracking Digimon.
Digimon are on Earth.
Yeah, Digimon are on Earth and killing people.
Oh, shit! Well, okay.
You thought this was a children's cartoon.
I had kind of hoped. But a recommendation, obviously.
Yeah, but I would recommend definitely brushing up first.
The show grew up with you.
Yeah, a little bit.
At least in Canada, I'm pretty sure you can watch all of the first couple seasons on Netflix.
Yeah.
Nice.
In English and in Japanese.
Cool. That's new.
Yeah, I think I'd go for the Japanese one just to match up with the way I'm watching this, because the character names are a tiny bit different. Not the Digimon names. The Digimon names are still the same in English.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Nice. Heather.
I talk about Concrete Revolutio,
Oh, right.
Ooh, yes.
which I would say you're either going to like it or you're going to hate it. And you'll probably know, I'd say within 2-3 episodes.
But based on what? Like, why will you either like it or hate it?
Because it's overly complicated for what it is.
Okay. So it's not an art style thing.
I think the art style is amazing. I think...
I'm about to find out about the art style here.
It's Bones, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Bones.
Yeah.
No, the art style is gorgeous, as far as I'm concerned. I can see people not liking it, because it's a lot of colors and things, but
It's very garish.
I think it's amazing. The main character is Jiro, and then there's also Kiko, is like the magical girl character who's with him a lot. But it's complicated in the fact that you really need to be paying attention to the timestamps, because it starts...
Is it out of sync, or is it just...
Oh yeah, like
Okay.
every episode, like the first episode starts with like essentially what's supposed to be present day? No,
present day for the setting?
like
The first episode starts like 8 years in the future, doesn't it?
no, it's the beginning of the story. It's when he meets
Oh, right. Yeah.
the magical girl,
Right.
and then you get a very short scene of that, and then suddenly you're like 8 years in the future.
Or 5 or something. Because she says, I'm now 20 years old, she yells at him for whatever reason.
But there's
Yeah.
a timestamp. Like if you're paying attention, it's just the timestamps don't make sense in the sense of like, oh, it's 2015 now, and now it's 2020.
And it's also not, it's also, and it's not even like, oh, it's 2015, 2020. It's like there's an era and then a number. You know,
Oh,
like Shouwa 15, like that kind of thing. It's that
so
kind of
you
thing.
you really have to pay close attention to that, and then they'll do that, and then next episode, you're again back in the past doing some of that, but then it will fast forward, but not to like the 5 or 8 year mark, to before that.
Ooh, okay.
So it like slowly
Narrows in?
narrows in to like the middle, which is really weird.
Yeah. Because
This show is getting a second season, so the
Ooh.
ending is not actually it's getting closer to actually being matched up. Because all you know is that he's working for this organization. It's kind of like X-Men in a way, where it's like they're
Right.
superhumans. He works for the organization that's supposed to help them,
or
but
protect them.
protect them,
Yeah.
eliminate dangerous ones, but it's probably manipulating people. In the future, he leaves, and he's fighting against them, and it's like, nobody knows why.
We don't know. Okay.
Yeah. Because he was all about, like, this is a very important thing I'm a part of. And then in the future, he's like, this is a very terrible thing that I was a part of.
So this whole 13 episode arc is going towards a flashpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
I think it's a really interesting story. It's kind of complicated, so if you're not... It's not one of those things where you can just sit down and kind of just have on, and if you miss a couple of things,
That's not okay.
you'll be fine, because it's like, no, you really won't be.
I kind of wonder if anyone, maybe in Japan, had put together a re-edit of the season into a fully chronological version.
Probably.
Weirdly, I don't
I'm
know
not
if it would
sure.
be as interesting to watch.
Yeah,
Well, no,
I'm
the
not sure
shows
if
that do
you-
that generally aren't.
Yeah.
But
Like, but it feels, it's also the fact that, like, so it's everything exists. There's time travel, there's magical girls, there's giant robots, there's aliens.
There's ghosts.
And it sounds like a weird fan fiction mashup. But it's pretty awesome.
serious or more comedic? in nature?
It's reasonably serious.
serious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like there are the moments, like there's a young boy looking character, and he's a ghost, but he's a ghost that like ghosts like to play with kids, and that's why he looks like a kid.
The ghost is interesting because it's like ghosts stay around children, and that's why they stay children. At least it's like kind of the information they give you. But then there's like the guy who was just on screen. He's a police officer who ends up becoming a cyborg, and he hates the super
He hates superheroes completely,
hero
but he practically is
division
one.
thing, even though he kind of is one. But then you get to see all of these characters in the future as well, and a bunch of them have changed sides or changed ideas or just changed their opinion completely. And you have to kind of try to determine, okay, why are they doing this now? What happened there? And keep that information in mind as it zeroes in.
And there's a lot of moral ambiguity, which is kind of nice too.
Okay.
Because it isn't just two sides. It really is like there is multiple sides to why people are doing certain things, and then you start to see that there is more characters that show up that are more morally ambiguous, and you might have read them wrong the first time, and then you realize that, oh wait, no, they actually are more like this, or they're less like this. And, I mean, when I watched it, I fell asleep during the first episode because I was tired, and then we rewatched it. I watched the first episode, I'm like, well, I don't know about this. We watched like 2 more episodes, and I'm like, yeah, this is turning into something.
Yeah, like I do think you have to give it the 2-3 episode test to really see if you're going to like it. If you hate the art style right off the bat, probably not for you.
Learn to like it.
I'm not hating the art
be
style.
rough.
In fact, I'm actually really liking it, but it also gives me a few of those warning signs like, this could be too funny and wacky.
It's generally not wacky.
Okay.
There's the odd thing like you
Has its
get
moments.
for comic relief because the moment's too serious, but it's not in that way where everybody like gets chibified or anything like that.
You sold me generally, so I'm going to give that a try.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to quickly break in. I was just checking, and the original Digimon is available on Netflix in U.S. and Canada only.
Okay.
Oh.
So if you're not in U.S. and Canada, I'm afraid it's not available, at least right now. Who knows?
On Netflix.
On Netflix.
Yeah, who knows what crazy
Other
licensing
sources
Netflix uses.
may be available.
So it's a recommendation, then, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Are we watching anything that's not... Are we...
I might end up talking about something that not I don't know yet.
Good, okay.
Yeah. So my second recommendation...
Or your second thing you watch.
Yeah, second thing I watched, really, we should say, is Osomatsu-san.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
And because I'm always big on gag anime.
Based on the super old Osomatsu-chan.
Yeah, Osomatsu-kun.
Kun, yes.
Yeah, and the story, it's a gag anime, and it's based on a gag manga about 6 identical brothers. They are sextuplets, but they all have different personalities. And we watched the first episode, and the first episode is not indicative of what the rest of the series is
But
like, but it's thematically appropriate for the rest of the series.
Best episode.
And this is the one. This is the one time I'm going to publicly promote piracy, because it's the only way you can get this episode. It's not going to be on the Blu-rays. They're never rebroadcasting it because it's so packed with references and parodies that they just got scared out of including it in anything.
They are literally redoing the first episode, but not in the style that they did the first episode in. Because they were like, well, we're going to do it so that all the characters look correct.
I am curious to watch the redone episode just to compare it. But
it's coming
But
out.
as far as I'm concerned in that show, first episode is the best episode, and even if you don't like the show, you should watch the first episode.
There's a very I love the opening theme. Actually, both the opening themes are amazing. The ending themes I think are kind of cool too. And the thing that I love about it is that as a gag anime, you can also tell it has a lot of history. It revels in the fact that we've been around for over 50 years. The original mangaka has since passed away. This series has been forgot about by people. And the original story, Osomatsu-kun, was about how these boys were all teenagers and they just dicked around all the time, and they all had a girl that they liked who lived in the neighborhood, and all these other characters that show up are you can tell that they are also from the original, and they all are drawn in a way that makes it look like this is a very old type of show or type of manga. And now they're all in their 20s. They still live at home. They're all neats. They have no prospects whatsoever, and all they do is they screw around with each other on a regular basis. But they're also because they're brothers, they fiercely stick together.
So why did you like it?
That's kind of why I liked it. It's because I'm they stay on point with the gags the entire time, and I was just really, really impressed with the fact that it's as a gag anime, it's sometimes you'll tune in and you'll watch something and be like, okay, but this is based on an older
But they also
property.
hit a lot of the older comedy beats
Yeah.
too, which
Yeah.
is really cool.
Yeah, and it feels it's based on older property, so a lot of it's going to be dated humor, and yet you watch it and you're like, no, this is actually just really good quality.
It's not trying to be a sitcom. It's not trying to be a slice of life. It is just gags.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
we're just going to give you a gag. They do some segments which are basically just one character going and the other one going Dayon, and that's it.
Yeah.
But they do 3 minutes of
that,
and they set that up and they go through the whole thing, and at the end there's a great payoff, and I'm like, it's like a masterclass in watching how Japanese humor works.
Yeah, it is completely gag. I don't like all of the sketches because I'm not huge in the gag anime, but I do think it's a decent show. I do think you can skip the last episode of the first season because it's just a clips episode, and that is not the proper way to end a season.
I got so mad. I got so mad when that happened. But for me, it is like A+1 recommendation, probably one of the best things for me to come out of this season.
Great. Yeah. Coming up next is something that actually made my best of 2015 list, but I cut it out just because I wanted to talk about anime here and nothing but, and no anime on my best of 15. Gundam Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
We watched a total of 20 minutes of that this year because that's all that's out, and it is spectacular.
It looks amazing.
I mean, people have described it as this PV that's going on behind us is just going on over top of this wild and crazy jazz. So people have described it as
freeform drum,
as the Cowboy Bebop of Gundam, which it kind of is in a way. But then you watch the rest of the 20 minutes of this first episode. I think it's going to be an 8-part series.
Their original net animation.
Yeah, exactly. This is a net animation. I cannot believe that this is something you'd usually have to pay money for in terms of an OAV, but really good. The art style actually turns out to look more like a JoJo than anything else.
Oh, yeah, it does.
And just a wonderful story of two competing people inside of a rocky shoal area, inside of a destroyed colony side.
Are they on opposite sides of the continent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like a Macross Plus.
It's like the Zeon are holed up in the colony, and the feds are coming in to try to get them out.
Oh, so this is like a very laser-focused event.
It's a very tiny thing, and it's about the ace pilot versus the ace sniper
and
of the other side.
It's set during the 1 year war in Universal Century. The people who are in the Gundams appear to be outcasts from the rest of the Federation Army, and the people on the Zeon side appear to actually be made up of all amputees or people with other disabilities with robotic appendages. And I'm counting down the seconds until the next episode's out because it's really good.
You showed me I think you showed me the PV for it, and I was incredibly impressed just at the whole. Because I was like, I bet you there's a lot of people saying this is Cowboy Bebop for Gundam, and you were like, yes, and I'm like, yeah, and it isn't, and you're like, no.
There's a 40-second scene in the first episode. It's
like 30 seconds, but it's from the first person,
and it's a single cut of first person from inside of a Zaku.
Okay.
The Zeon
side, yeah,
and you're watching as he's trying to point his gun, trying to track this Gundam as it swings across the sky. Mm-hmm. Gundam pops up, lops off an arm,
dashes off,
comes back, hits him again. The Zeon pilot is getting more and more frustrated and panicky, as you can see in their movements, and then finally the Gundam comes in and just stabs it through with a beam saber.
This is all first person.
And this is all from the first person in the Zaku's perspective. It
sounds rad.
Beautiful. Highly recommended. Cori.
One Punch Man.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So good.
That won the season.
What do we need to say about One Punch Man?
Watch it.
Yeah, other than
watch
that.
it.
It's because it's the original. The guy who did it won.
I think we've already given the full background of it previously, but it's like they pulled it off really well.
Yeah.
Like it manages to be engaging at all times, even when nothing's happening or the action sequences aren't too over the top or too
they're exactly as over top as they need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you keep waiting for Saitama, the main character. You keep waiting for him to kind of at some point break out of this shell that he has to be okay, maybe this is the point where he's actually going to be no, I'm going to fight everything. I'm going to do whatever. His character never changes.
No, but he's still
perfect.
he's seems solidly dedicated to doing good in the world.
Yeah.
And fixing problems and stuff, but he doesn't get any enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just
It's pretty amazing.
It's his constant disappointment and everyone else being mind blown, but his lack of even research into what he should do.
Yeah.
Because
part of the thing, because Saitama's character, for anyone who doesn't really know about One Punch Man, the part of Saitama's character is the fact because he can win any fight in one punch, he has just kind of become disillusioned with being a hero. And that's kind of what we're talking about, is that you just see this kind of malaise on his face.
The whole time.
I've heard it described by a game reviewer as watching someone who's gotten so good at their job that they're still stuck doing it, but they've come to kind of hate the area that they're in because they can't really move forward, but they're so good at it now.
I was half expecting it to turn into like a tournament anime.
I am so glad it didn't, because honestly, this is the kind of anime that I would hate.
Yeah.
Everything is set up to be the kind of anime I would not enjoy, and I loved it.
And it progressed really fast, too. The
And
story,
the other characters are like really well developed, have very clear motivations and things like that, or mystery motivations, but still like really solid goals and distinct personalities.
If you enjoy fighting shows, or if you enjoy taking down tropes of fighting shows, this is a show for you.
Yeah, it is kind of like, it's appealing to, I think it'd be appealing to both audiences. If you're really big into shonen tournament fighting anime, you could still watch this and be like, no, actually, this was just really, it hits all those points, except it doesn't feel like it's hitting
It's
those
like
points.
you said, there's that outer veneer of this is the most awesome fighting show of all time.
Yeah.
And then once you just crack through that very thin shell, so much of the show opens up.
Yeah. And I'm just, I was like, I was just waiting. I'm like, oh, please let Saitama have to punch this guy twice. Please let him enjoy the fact he finally get to punch a guy twice. That's like, and it never disappoints. It never disappoints.
He tries to hold back.
Are we getting more of this?
I think we're getting a second season.
So.
I
hope so. Because they didn't go all the way through the manga.
Right.
There's still things to do.
Yeah. And I love how everybody else is drawn very well in that style, and Saitama is not.
I think there's a few scenes with Genos where he's not, where he's like chibi-fied or round-faced.
Yeah.
The thing I find interesting about the show, I mean, other than all the other things, is no matter how much he gets beaten up, because he will get hit and stuff, but he clearly doesn't get a scratch on him, but almost never does anything on his clothing either. And I think that's more of it's not that his clothing shouldn't.
His clothing gets blown off like twice.
But a lot of the time, there's almost not even a scratch on his clothing. I think it's this perception of, in a lot of fighting anime, you see characters not bleeding, but you see their outfits getting wrecked.
Yeah.
And so his outfit almost can't get wrecked unless a lot is happening.
It's almost like he's a metaphor.
Yeah.
Okay, so watch One Punch Man.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. I also watched, and I'd probably recommend this for people who like kind of mystery-esque, slice-of-life-y type things. Sakurako-san no Ashimoto ni wa shita ga umatteiru. Yes.
Umatteiru.
Close enough. Good for my Japanese.
What is it again? It's like the bones are under Sakurako-san's feet.
It's that, or there's also an alternative that's essentially like there's a grave, there's a corpse buried under her feet.
Yeah, we just called it we called it bones.
Bones.
Yeah, we called it bones.
Not to be confused with the studio.
Yeah.
Or the series of the other.
Series, yeah.
We talked about this last time as a looking forward to show, and I would say the description that I read of the show is wrong in so many ways.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Just like the whole thing about, they said the boy was Shotaro was this character who liked to show off his girlfriend, which is Sakurako, and it's
she's like 22, and he's like a high school student.
They are not dating. For one.
Yeah.
Also, it implied that his character was like that showboat character that you often see. He is so not. He's kind of just normal, a little shy.
Kind of a reserved character.
Yeah, much more reserved. And I'm like, where's this guy who I thought was going to be like, yeah, look at my girlfriend. She can solve mysteries.
Take a look at my girlfriend. She's the only one I love.
But I'm glad they didn't do that, because I think that would have been highly annoying.
Yeah.
They also described this as a thing of like, oh, look at this weird girl, she loves bones. And she does, but she's also an osteologist. She does this for a
so
living.
actual job.
Yeah. It's not like she just goes, like, she does...
I like
go
animal
and
skeletons.
and bones, and she does really like animal skeletons, but it's not this thing of,
Not
like...
just a hobby.
It's not this weird thing of, like, oh, this random person is just solving police crimes for no reason. In fact, the police would really like her to go away. And the boy, constantly when she finds, because sometimes she'll find human skeleton remains, and she'll be like, oh, this is awesome. I don't have many of these, because you're not really allowed to.
She'll try to keep them?
She'll try to keep them, and the boy's just like, we have to call the cops. She's like, why must you be no fun?
Yeah.
So why are they hanging out?
He walked
We
past...
can't, like,
You can't reveal that?
If we reveal that, doesn't it give away some extra stuff about the characters later? I can't remember.
I thought we weren't going to care about spoilers for...
Stuff in the past.
Oh, fair enough.
Of the past. If I remember right, it's something like he was walking by her house during one point.
Because he
and
loved
saw
her house.
Yeah, he saw the house. He really liked it. 'Cause
He's
it's his
dating
old
her house?
And
Yeah, he was like walking through
And
the
then-
forest and saw her house and really liked it, and then
then
he saw her.
He saw her,
and
thought
he just
she
went,
was pretty, and then started just walking by all the time, and she noticed, and she was like, "Heh." But he reminds her of her younger brother that died earlier.
Okay.
And so she kind of keeps him around, but she only refers to him as boy. And his name sounds similar to her brother's name as well, and I think that's why.
The brother's name is Sotaro, and his is Shotaro.
Oh.
And
So Boyo.
Boyo is what, yeah.
It has the standard, like, arcs that you see in a lot of mystery anime where it's like 2 or 3 episodes, covers kind of one case, but they're all pretty nice. Like, it's not generally like, oh, all these people have been murdered mysteriously near me. It's, oh,
Do they do a lot of
somebody
the
fell
cliffhanger
on a
before a
cliff,
reveal?
possibly. Is that really what happened? Why did they go there?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do some of the cliffhanger stuff.
And it does suffer from that, that omniscient main character who's like, I know what happened here, and I'm
Right.
going to hold on to this information just a little bit too
but
long.
I still don't feel like it's done in a way that's just outright annoying, where they don't show you any information. Like, it's probably not quite the same where you could necessarily guess what happened. But there's also an overarching plot as well that I really like, where there is a bigger mystery she wants to solve, and it kind of is being hinted at in the smaller mysteries.
Okay, so they give you enough information through the course of the episodes that when the solution's revealed, you're not completely caught off guard?
Yeah.
Is the big payoff at the end big enough to be worth it?
I don't think it's over.
It's not over.
Ooh.
And that's frustrating, because if they had continued with the second season, I think it would have been strong enough to continue watching.
It sounds interesting, though.
Yeah, like I would actually recommend checking it out. The one thing that I really like, which it doesn't really need to be there, but is kind of funny, is there is a it happens during the first episode, I think, and sometimes throughout, where she finds some bones, and she's like, "Oh, all right, gonna figure this out." And I think she puts gloves on, but all of a sudden behind her, all of these animated animals are there. It's almost like this weird magical girl moment for no reason.
And they're all transparent. You can see their transparent bones, and they're all walking very slowly, and they're walking
ghost
through
animals?
Yeah, it's amazing. It looks beautiful, and we're like, this is so cool! And
Why is it happening?
Yeah.
There's no reason for it to happen other than it's like trying to demonstrate that she is in focus mode.
That's really cool.
But it's a neat effect that I really like.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often enough.
Was the show based on a manga?
Who knows?
I think it might be based on a light novel.
Okay.
I mean, given the length of the title, it's
No,
probably
I'm
a light novel.
pretty sure it's based on a light novel.
I'm just thinking that sounds like something that I bet they would probably do on Hannibal.
Oh,
If they had the budget to do something that looked like that.
Right.
Hannibal has the budget.
It's like in Sherlock Holmes movies where the more recent ones where it's like they do the whole thing where he's like, oh, and then it'll speed up and slow down while it shows how I'm going to kick these guys' ass.
Yeah.
And that's what it kind of feels like. It's like there's a preparation. She's getting ready, and it's the same kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would recommend at least checking it out. I do think if you already kind of like mystery and maybe kind of, I feel like it falls a little bit more into slice of life, but not quite as annoying.
It's not gentle. Like it is a dramatic series, but it's not.
that would be there. Like, I do think it's worth checking out.
Good.
I'd agree. All right, so
What you got, Beej?
I'm gonna hope that I'm gonna get back to where I was before. Excuse me. This is gonna be super quick. We watched other things. One I'm gonna point out is Komori-san wa kotowaranai, or Komori-san can't refuse. And I'm pointing this one out specifically because it's a short. It's about 5 minutes long, and it was completely wasted.
Okay.
I called it garbage.
Yeah. I love the manga. The manga's it's by Cool Kyosogiga, whatever. I can't pronounce his last.
Cool.
Yeah, it's by Cool. And he's done a lot of other things I really like Ojojojo. He does I Can't Understand What My Husband Is Saying, which is kind of a rough ride for people as well. He has a very loose art style. He also is doing another thing that's like, what is it again? I can't remember how do you pronounce the friggin' name again, but it's about the maid dragons.
Yeah, that sounds sketchy.
He draws really unusual stuff. Oh, JoJo's really good, but anyway. But I like Komori-san as well because it's about this girl who is in high school. She's taller than most of them. She has really big boobs.
Yeah, they're floppy.
And she's very kind of stone-faced all the time. Like she doesn't react to much. But her whole thing,
But her boobs do.
and the reason it is
have a lot of
Komori-san
mouths.
can't refuse is because she's very helpful.
Right.
She wants to help everybody, but the thing is now she has kind of a face where it's like people will come to her and say, "Can you give me directions?" Like if she walks away from our house, she walks 10 feet and somebody stops her for directions. She walks another 10 feet, she gets stopped
So
for
where
directions.
does it fall?
The manga's really good. I feel like they wasted the potential in the series because it feels like let's concentrate on showing her boobs jiggle and let's concentrate on like all those things, but let's not give the it feels like that all that overshadows what's going on in what is just a very light, goofy 4-panel comic.
Okay.
And that disappointed me because I was like, oh shit, like because of all this extra stuff you had to put in to try to keep people's interest, I felt like that actually took away from it. But if you're somebody who I like boob jiggle just fine, but I also felt like the amount that I enjoy the manga,
grade
it
are
felt
they
like it
supposed
was
to be in?
distracting.
How old
What
is
grade are
she?
they supposed to be in?
They're in like high school, so they're like 16.
I couldn't tell.
I-
They looked like they were in elementary school.
I think
the way
this
they're drawn.
is what I was trying to say about Osomatsu-san staying true to its source material.
Yeah.
Whereas this sort of, they tried to put too much, it sounds like they tried to put too much into it to make it into an actual sitcom series when the source material
just,
doesn't...
ruin the pacing. Basically.
It kind of felt like it. And plus, I mean, because it's a 5-minute short, and I'm starting to find that the 5-minute shorts never used to bug me, but now the more 5-minute shorts that I watch, I realize that you get into watching something, you're like, yeah, this is good, and it just disappears.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, we got stuff to talk about that later.
And it's like, and then plus they also end up having like a minute-long theme song,
Right.
So they only have to animate 4 minutes of something. And I know this is probably good for the money for the studio because it's like, well, we can animate something, and they get
Well, and it's probably commercial filler.
Yeah.
More than anything.
But it does feel like we did this thing, and you only get to watch 4 minutes at a time. And I'm like, I bet you if I went back and could watch the whole series like back to back without chunks taken like for the friggin' theme song, I probably would enjoy it more.
that might be an interesting exercise to try.
But this is a series where I'm like, it feels like it was just wasted potential. They had an opportunity to take something and make it kind of fun. If it was a 15-minuter, I'd have been like, that would have been fine too. But it was not, and ended up leaving me like a lot of other things that I've watched where they end up putting a lot of boob jiggle into it from a manga, ends up leaving me very cold.
Interesting, because
Old boob jiggle. Got it.
speaking of boob jiggle,
Yeah.
I watched a Lupin, and it was perfect in every way. Much like Digimon Try, we finally got, at least in an English translation,
This is better than Digimon Adventure Try.
Crunchyroll picked it up, and I remember we saw the opening theme last time we sat down to talk about Lupin. And the show is as good as the opening theme is.
I'm just going to watch it over your shoulder while you talk about
everything-
it.
Yeah.
Watch it in the thing in front of you.
If you,
Beej.
I know.
if you liked Castle of Cagliostro, if you liked the first series of Lupin, if you liked the second series of Lupin, this is exactly...
If you like heist shows.
Yeah, this is exactly
What if you've never seen a
If you've
Lupin?
never seen a Lupin, you're fine, because the characters are very
Archetypal.
identifiable.
They're very archetypal.
They're very archetype, and it picks it up really quickly.
Yeah,
But how would you describe it if you weren't comparing it to a previous Lupin?
I don't know how I describe it. It's about
It's a standard heist thing.
Yeah.
It's like there's the leader who's the mastermind. He's got his crew that are all specialized, and they try to steal things. And then there's the police that are against them.
And he has like a nemesis.
And he has a
Policeman,
nemesis,
yeah.
but now they've introduced new characters, and they've done it
a couple-
effectively without like completely erasing or overshadowing the old ones.
Exactly. There's a weird James Bond, Daniel Craig archetype.
Yeah.
There's a new Lupin gets a wife in the first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who
that was really
I
good.
was incredibly skeptical about her as a character, and she turned out to be great.
Well, they don't even show her off in the
the
intro,
opening,
right?
no.
So
Yeah.
you're kind of like, what's going on?
But she's still there in the show.
But
Yeah.
and it's not a spoiler because at the end of the first episode, she buggers off to do her own thing.
yeah,
and so they
she's
don't-
like, I want a divorce.
They don't overuse her.
Yeah, but she comes back.
Yeah.
Which is great. She's not like a one-note character. It's like, no, she comes
No.
back
Yeah,
later.
but much like a good Lupin series, it's very episodic. But they're doing that thing now where there are bits of serial things that are hopefully going to add up to some sort of a big payoff. We haven't finished watching the series because I'm pacing it out. I want to enjoy and savor this.
Isn't there more coming still?
Yeah, there is more coming.
Yeah.
But just talking about what I've seen so far, the art style is consistent, and detailed at the macro level, and then you start looking at the backgrounds, and things are well detailed in the backgrounds. There has been care put into every frame of the series. The mechanical designs are completely on point. That gun is just so well rendered. And the cars and the people.
It's like this is the Lupin series that you have been waiting to get for 20
It's
years.
the Lupin
Yeah.
you wanted than the last Lupin.
Exactly. The last two Lupins we had, the woman called Fujiko Mine,
Yeah.
was a weird.
Art piece.
Yeah, it was a weird art piece. Great, but it wasn't Lupin. It wasn't fun. It wasn't an adventure. And then the Gravestone of Jigen Daisuke was again dark, slightly closer to what I wanted.
Yeah.
And then this is just perfect. And and getting Yuji Ono back in the driver's seat in terms of
it
putting together the
sounds
soundtrack
like a Lupin, yeah.
sounds exactly the way a Lupin should. So, yeah, check out the first episode. If it doesn't hook you, it's not your
Something's
thing.
wrong with you.
But well, no.
Hey,
It's not your thing.
That.
But if it does hook you, you will enjoy the ride, and then go back and check out the rest of Lupin because it's a bigger ride. Cori,
Pass.
pass.
Yeah, I only watched two things.
Oh, that's right.
Heather?
I had a similar problem. I mentioned a lot of things last time that I wanted to watch, but during this last season, I have not really, because they
Not
were
watched
so
them or
many
dropped
that
them
were
or-
so. No, I saw maybe a first episode of a few.
Yeah,
But
but just kind of
because-
like didn't hook you enough.
No. I wanted to watch them, but because Beej doesn't want to watch them, and the time that I have separate from him to watch my own stuff is very limited, and I had much less time, I didn't have a chance to watch any of them. In fact, I even added compared to last time because I heard about a couple other series that sounded good.
Like Dance with Devils.
Yeah, I wanted to watch that,
Yeah.
and I actually thought it was pretty good on its first episode, but I have no idea. I can't recommend it because I haven't seen enough of it.
And I didn't like it when I watched the first episode, so we didn't watch it when I would come home, and therefore you haven't been able to watch any of it yet.
Like I just haven't had the opportunity on my own time.
Yeah.
You and I, Heather, finished Fate, and that was really good.
That was amazing. I'm so glad we did that finally.
This is Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Zero Fate Kelly liner.
No,
See,
never
I
that
was
one.
finishing other anime.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do either of you have any past watches?
Nope, not gonna
to
talk
go?
about
So I
it.
can start.
I mean,
yeah.
I can start the winter preview.
I could literally just say, don't watch this and don't watch this, but there's no real point.
No.
Let's move on.
Moving on.
All right.
Not
Corey
unless you really hate them.
is going to start us off with next season and why we're excited.
So I'm watching Erase.
Yes!
Oh my god. Oh wow.
So we're all watching Erase.
We're all watching Erased, and everyone should.
that I didn't know that I wanted.
Corey,
No, actually-
please tell us about it.
Alternate title is Boku Dake ga Inai Machi. But yeah.
That's
Sorry.
the actual title is.
Yeah.
Please tell us
But the
about
simple title is Erased. Yeah, so it's about a 29-year-old guy who works at a pizza delivery place.
He draws manga.
He wanted to draw manga, but he's
right.
probably kind of given up on that. So he's just kind of listless and going through his paces. He doesn't really have any friends or anything like that. And it's not that he has the ability to, but he periodically time will loop on him.
It happens to him.
It happens to him. And
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a superpower to me.
yeah, and he has to, or he feels that he has to look around in his environment and see what he can solve in it to prevent some sort of accident or catastrophe or just bad outcome. And
An interesting point that he mentions that whenever he does save someone, because of what he calls what is the word?
revival.
A revival,
Revival.
which doesn't come up that much, but whenever he does save someone, it turns out bad for him,
yeah,
which I think is going to actually come into play later on.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They only really
Jesus.
showed
And
it
so-
off the one time.
he's gone through life. He has kind of this regret or wonder of what would have happened if he had managed to save a classmate when they were kids, because she disappeared. She was probably abducted. Nobody knows. And so something happens, and he has to, or something happens in the first episode, and it
Causes
causes
him to be
a revival to back when he's in elementary school,
1988.
to 1988.
So you're the Calgary Winter Olympics, which is why I
I
remember
was
that.
born that year.
Yep.
It's like fifth
Oh,
grade
God.
for him, I think.
Yeah, I think they're in 5th grade. And so it's him trying to prevent or discover the mystery of what happened to his classmate so that he can prevent what happens to him in the future.
Yeah. So it's him as a 29-year-old
Yeah.
in the body of himself as a
Fifth grader.
fifth grader. So.
Yeah, which I find really interesting because you can see the thought.
And we don't
And sometimes he accidentally speaks out loud the thing he's thinking.
Yeah.
and we don't know how long that's going to last.
Yeah.
It's like we're 4 episodes in, and it is already it's destroying me. I
Yeah.
think this is
It's
based
just like-
on a light novel or a manga or something.
Something, but it's just, it keeps the tension up,
Yeah.
and it's just like it's offsetting. And it's,
So it's mystery. I believe it's supposed to be a thriller as well.
It's kind of a thriller, yeah.
I was complaining before we watched the first episode that I want a show that is about adult things, not about kids in. I don't want to see any more kids in high school anime. I want it to be kind of darkish and at least a serious drama. And I want it to have a story that is going to end. And then this delivered.
Yeah,
Yeah, I will say that it touches really heavily on child abuse.
Yeah.
So
There are trigger warnings
avoid
there for
that.
that.
yeah. This is destroying me though, because after the second episode, every episode at the end, I'm just like, don't go read the manga. Don't go. I'm so tempted because I'm like, I just want to get in there and be like, I've got to read the whole thing so I can figure out what the hell's yes. But I'm trying to reserve that because it's really beautifully animated and it's just so much fun watching it play out. But like at the end of the 4th episode, I was just like, ugh!
Because you really want to know what happens every episode.
Like this is if this had shown up on Netflix, we would be
just binge.
binging it.
Yeah.
You'd
Well,
have
yeah.
to.
Yeah, definitely. Like I really like that they do most of the setup for you within the first episode
Yeah.
right away, and then the whole revival thing just doesn't happen for more episodes because he's in the 5th grade now. He doesn't need to go back in time anymore now.
But he's had, like, a revival while he was in the 5th grade, too. So he's, like,
He remembers.
looping back
Yeah.
Yeah.
again inside of it. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah, you're those of you listening to this, you're lucky because by the time this will come out, there'll be 5 episodes out. So you binge the first 4, you can do that, and you're so lucky you get to do that.
if you're not already watching it, you should watch
Best,
it.
Yeah,
best
don't-
show of the season.
I would even recommend start watching it immediately.
Yep.
And don't just wait for it all to come out and be like, oh, I'll
Don't
watch
wait
it
for
at the
this
end of the
podcast
season.
to come out. Just listen.
No. Don't wait for the whole season to end. Like basically, pick it up, watch as much as you can at the moment you've listened to this thing, and then watch it every week if you can to the end to keep the tension high because it's so fun.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it also it's a good show. Like we would totally binge the show, but I think it's one of those shows where it benefits from watching week to week and giving your brain time to
The
kind of
anticipation.
have the anticipation, think about the details that have been going on, and really kind of absorb.
You're right. I have not been excited for a weekly show to come out as much as I have for this to come out each week.
Yeah.
And in animation, you don't get anything for free. Everything they do they have to do for a purpose.
Yeah.
Which is what's great about the show is because it's like everything they do in the show, everything you see in the show, must
Is
exist.
deliberate.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
deliberate.
It feels very deliberate.
And
Nothing's
so much budget in this.
Yeah.
I think it's Studio Dean is doing this.
And the opening theme, Riri by Asian Kung Fu Generation,
Yep.
is so good.
right?
Like, what is this? Is this actually from the 90s?
Yeah. It's the golden age again. All right, I'll shut up.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to talk about Active Raid, which has a longer
Which is
title.
the Pat Labor.
Yeah.
It's essentially, when you read the description, it sounds like Pat Labor. And to be honest, I did not like Pat Labor at all.
Aw.
It's a very
You
specific...
tried, Beej, but those movies were not going to make me enjoy it.
Oh, no, you started her on the movies?
Well, no, we just that was what was available.
Oh, no.
So, it's
We watched
about
a TV series.
a security mobile assault division that uses exoskeletons to counter crime.
Right.
And there is, I can't remember the character's name, but she's like an assistant or something that has been, that she's supposed to work with this division to do an assessment, but she wants to basically put them into shape. And Adam, our friend in Edmonton, recommended it, and I watched the preview, and it reminds me, just the way that they do some of the stuff in the exoskeletons, it kind of reminds me of Deca Ranger.
Okay.
And that's why I have an interest in it, because I really liked that.
So, like, are they competent? Are they a competent group, or are they like a group of misfits that just somehow succeeds?
I can't tell from the preview.
Like, it sounds like from the description that
it
they're supposed to
sounds
be a
like-
bunch of screw-ups.
Right.
I don't feel like they're necessarily, like, because it's just the one person who wants to do it and they're being assessed, possibly they've screwed up somehow, but that doesn't sound to me like they've just been constantly screwing up, because then I think they would just shut them down. But I don't really know. I haven't seen any of it.
Okay.
It's got like 4 episodes out now, but it just, parts of the preview remind me a lot of Deca Ranger.
So you're going to give it a try,
So
at least.
I want to try it out.
When Adam mentioned, we were having a conversation the other day, and he said, "Yeah, so I'm watching this new series, and it's about a bunch of like screw up police officers who have mobile armor that run around the city, and then somebody shows up and they're trying to clean them up and make whatever." And we were all like, "I think that's Pat labor." He's
Ghost
like,
in
"No,
the Shell."
shut up." He's like,
Yeah.
"It's called Active Raid.
See,
It's
We did
good."
that joke already.
I have to
I already
actually...
did that.
I have
Yeah,
to bring
but I
up...
love that's how he sold it, and I was like, "Oh, well, then I'll like this too, won't I?"
This brings up a rule that I instituted this year for
Which is?
myself. If a show is too much like an old show, just watch the old show. Because we watched an episode of
Dimension W.
Dimension W, which we're not talking about, but
Just Giant Robo.
yeah, just go watch Giant Robo.
Yeah, no,
So much better.
I agree with your assessment on that. I'm not saying that this looks like Deca Ranger, but it has elements of it.
It looks like and sounds like Pat Labor.
I didn't like Pat Labor,
I really
though,
want
so
to watch
maybe I'll
Pat
like
Labor
this
again.
one.
Cool.
They just turned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that all hands
Hey.
over to me, doesn't it?
Yeah, you get lost in.
Yeah. All right. Dagashi Kashi. We'll start with that. Nobody likes this but me. But the reason that is because this is another one of those things where I found the manga on something awful. It's one of the 300 manga that I have on my reader. I really like this manga. The show is an interesting way to approach the manga, because the manga's every chapter is only about 9 to 10 pages long. It's very tightly done, and it also is. It's very specific in its purpose. Every chapter is about a different type of dagashi, which is a candy, but also
Cheap candy.
can be a toy in some ways, but it basically an entertainment device for children that doesn't cost much money. They're generally just food, but sometimes can be like things you can play with and then you can eat. And that sometimes even includes things like ramune and stuff like that. But they even like count like certain types of ramen. And I think it's really interesting because it's like, if everyone remembers being a kid, and you remember being able to go to the convenience store and
erase those memories.
and buy things.
Yeah.
Like
In
you
your
buy
arrival, yeah.
Double Bubble
Yeah,
or
no, that-
you Bazooka Joe and it comes with a comic.
That sounds really interesting, Beej.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be great if they made a show about that?
The show is about that.
Except not. But no, you're excited. Tell me.
It's about the characters that are in it, and the crux of the show is that the older gentleman you see in the preview he runs a Dagashi shop, and his son, who wants to be a mangaka, works in the Dagashi shop.
And he's a Dagashi genius.
And he doesn't want to be there. He wants to go on and do stuff, but he's actually really he understands the shop, but he just wants to leave. And this girl shows up, the purple-haired one. She shows up, and she is he's instantly oh my god, girl, because she is everything about a girl that he likes, which is
she's wearing a maid outfit,
which is big boobs, and this is how she dresses.
Also, I don't think he knows many girls.
And he doesn't know many girls. There's another girl that he grew up with that he lives in the town with.
That doesn't count.
The idea, though, is that she shows up and is like, aha, I've been looking for your dad, the guy who runs the shop, because he is amazing in the Dagashi world, and I run a Dagashi factory, and I want him to come work for us so that we can be the best Dagashi in the world. And she's one of those, very strident, over-the-top,
really annoying,
very Haruhi kind of girls.
Not cool
and
like Haruhi.
he's just kind of the faded eye Kyon of the series. If you watched Haruhi, you would know how this all shakes out. But he's also a Dagashi genius.
So your recommendation is to watch Haruhi?
No, it's because it's not. This isn't the thing. You get to also learn about all these different candy, and every segment of the show is they take a piece, they take an entire chapter and adapt it so that it's we're going to teach you about all these different Dagashi.
And the food wrappers are highly rendered.
Yeah, because it's very important that they do this, and I don't think it's sponsored by any of the food companies, which is also unusual.
What I find funny is Beej describes the show in the same way I do. It's like Haruhi, but for me that's not a selling factor, and I liked Haruhi.
Yeah, but it's she comes in and she kind of just takes over what's going on for the day and be like, aha, we're going to talk about umaibo, which is a stick that is delicious that you can eat. And I really like that, and I'm the rendering of the series, not as good as the manga, because the manga's really tight, but then again, it is a half hour, and they're putting about 4 chapters into it, and I'm like, that's actually what I want.
But my problem, Beej, is that that's what I wanted in the show. I wanted them to come in and talk about umaibo, and the amount of time they talked about umaibo was...
5 seconds.
I'll be generous, it was a minute.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even about really umaibo. It was like, hey, you remember umaibo? You like that. Here's a joke about how she gets the flavor of Italia and France mixed up.
Yeah, but there's a umaibo colony drop in one scene. There's all these other kind of things. And what I think is good about it is it's not a goddamn documentary. It's supposed to be something funny. It's supposed to be a gag show. So that's why I really like it. And if you've read the manga, then you'll probably like the show. If you haven't read the manga, check it out if that sounds like a thing you want to learn more about. So, pass it on.
I'm going to talk about a show that isn't out yet, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it anyway, because even though it's she and her cat, Kanojo to Kanojo no Neko, Everything Flows is going to be the series. It's based on what's playing behind us, because there isn't a PV for the actual series yet. But Makoto Shinkai, before he did Voices of a Distant Star, Hoshi no Koe, he did this short about a woman and ostensibly her cat. It's more about the woman's life in just these wonderfully slow panning shots, and then...
Just rendered apartment scenes.
Yeah, rendered apartment scenes, and how she kind of neglects her cat. Well, how she neglects her cat, and also how her cat makes her life bearable due to her boyfriend or what have you. Anyway, it's getting a series, apparently. Makoto Shinkai's name is not attached to it, which makes me wonder how good it's actually going to be. But I get excited for anything Makoto Shinkai these days, so I'm looking forward to it.
I hope it turns out really good.
I hope so too, but...
generally we all hope that if that's what we're looking for.
But I didn't realize he wasn't attached to the series, so...
Yeah.
I thought he was directing.
I read somewhere that he was not actually part of the thing. It was just based on his work.
All right.
Go ahead, Cori.
I'm watching Sekkou Boys.
Oh my god!
Speaking of 5-minute episodes with a 1-minute song at the end.
Yep. This show is perfect.
So it's about a boy band.
Sekkou.
Yeah. And they are all statues. They're all Sekkou.
Yep.
So you got
Not even statues.
Well, they're busts.
Yeah, they're just the bust.
They're just the bust. And they've got a new manager.
Yep.
And so it's kind of her job to tote them around on a cart and take them to media appearances and get them booked at places. And
Keep them in good spirits.
And the twist is that she's afraid of busts.
no,
she
it's
hates
just
them.
No.
Well, she went to art school and she had to do a lot of studies.
Like that
and
was...
so it was just like, it was a throwaway gag.
It was a 1 minute,
it's-
one-liner gag.
It's
Yeah.
her trying hard to make them succeed as a boy band and deal with their personalities that clash and
5 minutes is exactly as long as this show needs to be.
Yeah.
And it's just the gag that keeps on giving. Because
there's-
it's like, they're busts. They're actually busts. They cannot actually move themselves, and yet, when
Yeah.
you look away, they've moved maybe. Or you'll see Giorgio creeping around the city, like, peeking at children and stuff, and it's just like, there's no one with him. How is he doing that?
There's a scene where one of them gets drunk, and then you pan down at his apartment, him...
Face down on his
No,
bed.
face down on his bed, then propped up against the side of a couch, surrounded by bottles, then cut shut, and he has stubble on his...
Yeah, they all live alone.
Yep.
Yeah, they all live alone in apartments, and they get driven around by the manager, and they have, like, little car seats and stuff.
And there's a Pamu analog who is...
in love with one of them, maybe.
Yep.
Or she's a big fan of them, and it's delightful and funny.
I watched 4 episodes of it, and I loved the initial idea, and then as the more that I watched of it, I was just kind of like, I just feel like it's hitting the same joke over and over, though. Okay.
I find that
A lot of the series is them, like, utilizing the camera angles to play off tropes and stuff. It's like, normally a character in the scene that could move would, like, turn their head this way. But in this one, we're going to put the camera down lower so it looks like the character's smiling, because it's just a static bust.
Like, it would, if these characters were just a boy band, this would be the most boring series.
Yeah.
Or even if they were drawn as statues, it would be boring. But the fact that they're all rendered, so they all look slightly out of world from where they are, makes it perfect. And yeah, 5 minutes each. How can you go wrong?
I'm going to
And
continue to
the
watch
ending
it.
song is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sekkou.
Speaking of boy bands, so this is a movie, King of Prism by Pretty Rhythm. It is listed as shoujo and music, and to be honest, it's probably not great, but it hits a lot of things for me that I like, which is that it looks a lot like a musical Magical Girl, but with boys. So there's a boy band called Over the Rainbow.
Good start.
They've just made their debut, and because of that, a whole bunch of people are registering for the Edelrose School to also become boy bands.
Okay.
And they are going to fight for the Prism King Cup that only happens in competition once every 4 years. And there's a mysterious villain, and it just looks so much like a Magical Girl series to me.
There
The
are
CG's not bad.
a lot of hearts. Yeah,
I want to watch it.
it looks like it's a CG series.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely CG'd, but is probably not some of the worst CG that is coming out this season, because I watched all the previews and there are some worse ones.
There's some hot garbage this season that we're not going to mention.
But yeah, it's essentially, school, music, shoujo, fight for a thing, probably lots of hearts everywhere.
It looks like
I'll
it's not
it.
completely CG. It's like the transformation sequences are. Okay.
Yeah.
So just some airy fluff to consume.
Nice.
It's a movie, so it's probably only like maybe 2
Oh,
hours
it's a
long.
movie. Okay, yeah. So that's
it's totally
that sounds like it'll be
reasonable.
fine.
It's not going to be like 52 episodes. It's just the right amount of fluff, I think.
It'll have an ending.
Well, that too.
Okay. Hai to Gensou no Grimgar.
No.
Were you going to watch about that? You're going to talk about
You
that.
gave me that one.
Sorry, you get that one. Okay.
I don't
sorry.
have anything else.
I apologize. Nijiiro Days. Sorry.
So
it was still
had a
listed.
planning meeting.
It was listed second on my list still, and I'm like, right, I'm doing that one, aren't I? No, I'm doing Nijiiro Days. This is based on a manga that I'm reading. It's a shoujo manga about 4 boys, which is why I was attracted to it in the first place, because that's unusual. And especially because it's a love story involving 4 boys, and it's not a Shonen series. It's about these 4 boys who go to high school, and the main character, the guy with the orange hair, he falls in love with a girl kind of right away, And I guess he had a girlfriend before that.
He
and he
had
just
a
recently
breakup.
broke up with his girlfriend near
And then
Christmas.
she showed up.
And she kind of showed up into his life, and he just kind of fell in love with her, but she has no idea who he is, and she's kind of shy. And he has these 4 friends that are just like they all have very distinct personalities, and they all kind of want to encourage him to like, yeah, you know, if you like this girl, you should go after her. But also they're all kind of like to tease him because they're all friends.
So
and I really like it. It's a 15-minute-er, I think, or a 10-minute-er.
I thought it was longer than that, but I don't like the way you glossed over all that. It's just he broke up with his girlfriend at Christmas time. He had a scarf to give her. The girl was handing out tissues. She showed up and was like, "Oh, you're crying. Have some tissues." She looked cold. He gave her the scarf. Later, he sees her at school with the scarf, and he's like, "Yeah, no, she was pretty cute." Falls in love with her.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's important.
Okay.
That's actually a good sounding love story.
And it's interesting because I think it's interesting anyway. And I really like the manga, and I like the developments in the manga as well. And all the boys, like, only one of them has a girlfriend to begin with, and it's unusual. And I really like it because it is kind of more like the boys end up making chocolate, and it's like one of the episodes that happens. They all kind of have their things that they do, and it's fun from a perspective of it is romance from a boy's perspective that I can relate to, and still in a shoujo manga context, which is like really appealing to me because it's not just like I will fight to win a girl and she will be on my side and she'll do whatever. It's like, no, it's really more like the boy's perspective where it's like, what do I do to get this girl to like me? Wait, what if I can do a thing and maybe she'll like that, but maybe I don't have to make her like me. And
the nervous
I
anticipation.
really identify with his kind of nervousness of how do I relate to this girl and how would I get her to like me. So, yeah, I recommend it because I also really like the manga, though I think the manga does it better.
I was gonna ask, do you now watch anime just to see how well, and this is a serious question, how well they're translating the series into animated form?
Yes.
Okay.
It's really, if I see something that I'm reading, I want to watch it because I want to see whether they actually it makes the jump. Because sometimes
Whereas I do the opposite.
you will watch something and be like, oh, there's a manga for this, so I'll read
No,
it.
I'll be reading all of the manga in the world, and then if there's an anime of it, I'm less likely to watch it.
So even like something like Assassination Classroom.
Yeah, I'm not watching that.
Okay.
We watched the movie, and that's it.
Yeah, I think it turned out to be, we watched the first episode of the series, or it was the animated movie that we watched. And yeah, the manga seems to like it would be much better than the series.
Manga I like more. I don't watch any of the sports ones that I'm reading.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm the other way. I'm kind of like, I want to see if this is going to get an adaptation. I want to know how they adapted it. I want to see who they picked to voice the roles, how they decide to animate it. And that's because, like, Assassination Classroom OVA, for example, not as good as the Assassination Classroom series. And yet... Yeah.
Agreed.
You watch the OVA and it's like, okay, this is what it is. And I was like, yeah, but I'm waiting for the series. And the series comes out and I'm like, oh, okay, no, I don't know if they changed studios. I don't know if they changed a director or what they did with it. Yeah, got a better budget or something. But it's like, the OVA was a gift to the fans who've been reading the manga. The series was more of a, we want to appeal to people to come in.
That's a gift, much like a Cleveland steamer is considered a gift.
Ouch.
I don't know what you mean by Cleveland steamer. Thanks, Siri.
Thanks, Siri.
So I'm going to cede my third pick because it's not real, because there were really only 2 shows that we're watching that I'm excited to keep watching, aside from Kanojo to Kanojo.
Yeah.
Because the second series that we're watching right now that is also if your ratio is perfect, this is 90% of the way there. Shouwa Genroku Rakugo Shinjuu.
Yeah.
Very good. Yes.
Yep.
Agreed.
And you'd think it's the story of a prisoner who's been released from prison who wants to go learn the Japanese art of Rakugo, which is
Comedic storytelling?
Yeah, comedic storytelling. Turns out it's, at the moment, the story of how his master gets involved in Rakugo and his brother, and who knows where it's going to go from there, because we're only 4 episodes in. The first episode is 40 minutes long, and it's the story of the prisoner.
Then it just jumps back a generation.
Yeah, but who knows where it's going to go. The point is, again, it's adults doing adult things. It's not wacky. It's a serious drama that has some lighthearted moments because it's about comedic storytelling. the comedic storytelling itself, the actual Rakugo, is rendered perfectly. I can actually tell when someone is doing well and when someone is just choking on stage, even through translation. And it's to the point where I would actually really like to go to Japan and see some Rakugo the same way they do opera here with the translation.
And they don't just gloss over the storytelling portions of it. You get to hear most of the story.
They do. They'll do a whole performance of a Rakugo story in an episode. And it's really, really good. And, of course, it's a period piece, too, which is something you don't often see in anime. You'll see, things in fantasy worlds or super past...
Sekigahara battle.
Sekigahara battle or the future. But this takes place in Showa-era Tokyo. And it's the budget's there. The budget's there. They're putting the budget in the right place. They've got great actors. Good opening and ending themes again. A lot to be revealed, and it's going to be a coherent story, which, if you've been listening, is a thing that's very important to me.
I'm starting to love Showa-era anime.
Yeah.
One more. Yeah.
We all highly recommend this show.
I mean, stuff that's been animated like in the last 5 years,
Yeah.
but is about the Showa era. It's really interesting because it's a piece of Japan.
That's
that
why I
we
still
like to
want
see.
Miss Hokusai.
It's
Yeah.
coming. It's
Still coming.
Yep. Blu-ray is coming.
Finally. Months. Let's see. Digimon Adventure Try 2.
I mean, it's legit.
What more to say about that?
Ketsui or Determination.
How long is the whole series?
It's going to be 6.
movies.
Yeah. But they're releasing like one every 4 months, I think.
Okay.
So it's going to show
just
up
one
in this
one
podcast
every
forward.
podcast episode. I'll
Okay.
just be like, yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one.
And we'll always play the PV behind you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like they introduced the 2 new characters and the premise in the last one, and now we get to do something.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
The end.
All right. So, Beej mentioned this before, but it's mine.
Yeah.
Hi to Gensou no Grimgar. It's a fantasy series. It is.
Go on.
See ya.
So, the start of it is essentially people who clearly come from present day are in a weird place, but they all have amnesia.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know why they're there. It feels very video gaming during this portion, at least to other video games I've played, like 999 and that kind of thing. And they're all told, well, you have to become part of the volunteer army.
Yeah.
Or
Volunteer
soldiers,
Border Army.
and you will have to fight things. And the part where it loses the video gaminess is when they're saying things like, "Oh, let me check my K-tie." Wait, what's a K-tie?
Yeah. This is this is the game. Well, what's a game? I don't
Yeah,
know. What is a game?
And then there's I think there's 12 of them. Something
Initially.
like that. There's a large amount of them, but 6 of them that are clearly the stronger, we can go beat up things all on our own, break off, and then we focus on the 6 who are weaker, and they can't even take out one goblin.
Yeah, I've heard it
On their
described
own.
as like a trapped in a video game series, but dealing with the less appealing aspects of
Yeah.
video game life.
Yeah, and it's because it's not like there's another series out where they keep talking about points and skills on your cards.
I'll get to that one.
And stuff. Well, we only get 3.
I've only
The
done
last
2.
one.
Yep.
Fine.
Gonna talk about it.
Fine, you can talk about that shitty show.
I'm going to.
The
Salt.
and it's very much just like, okay, we have this much money. We've all transferred into clothes that are much more fantasy-esque now.
We're all in a guild.
What should we do? Okay, well, we've got a party of 6 people. We should all get jobs. Yeah, okay, what works out for most of us? Great. Let's all go to the different guilds, learn to be thieves and archers and things, because then we'll have skills. Okay, cool. Let's go fight some goblins. The goblins just wreck them, and there's only 3 of them, and they're supposed to be the lowest monster ever. And they're like, we can't make money like this. They end up having to defeat a goblin that they take by surprise, who's on his own, who nearly kills them, just so that they can get a couple of trinkets that end up being worth some money, so that they can continue on. But
Let's be fair. So they can eat.
Yeah.
yeah, so
Right.
they can continue
So-
on,
so- yeah.
so they can eat, yes, survive.
Yeah. But it's that cut and throat.
Yes, I'm getting there.
Okay.
When they go to kill the goblin, because they kind of think they have, but he's not actually dead and he gets up, he lets out this large, long, sorrowful cry. And there's just this moment where they're all standing around him and they're like,
They have to kill a sentient creature.
this.
Yeah.
We have to murder this guy. He clearly doesn't want to die, but we have to kill him because we need to survive. And it's probably the only thing I have against the series is, like, I like all of that, but I feel like it's really weird that it's like, well, you have to have this job. And like, there are clearly people working in the market who are doing other things. Why could you not have had that job? I guess because it doesn't make the series very interesting, but I would like a little bit more of a thing other than, well, you have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they kind of all get forced into
Right.
But I think
role,
that follows like the parallels with being a video game. Like you start off, you have to take a combat class.
Yeah.
You have to go
Yeah,
out and
like
fight
there are
monsters.
video game parallels. It's not that campy kind of thing of, oh, hey, I'm in a game. I guess I'll just
I'm already
destroy
the best
everything,
at this.
and now I have so many points, and now I can unlock
More
these
dots.
skills,
Yeah.
which is what Beej will talk about next.
Well, I mean, Grimgar, I thought was fantastic because in the episode where they show how brutal it is to fight a goblin, and then you have that realization they didn't pull any punches. They're like, oh shit, yeah, this isn't straight. Like I kill a thing, goes whoop whoop, and it disappears, and 5 coppers appear. It's like,
Nope.
you will have to murder this thing.
Does the body disappear?
Nope.
Do they have to
No.
rifle through the...
Yeah, they have to rifle through the wallets. They have
the
to
one guy
find the
has
things.
has to cut off a piece of it so that he can give it to whatever guild he works for, so he can earn vices to
Which
help
are like
level
special
him up.
abilities. And the amazing thing about it too is that there's a side comic on the website called Goblin's Journey, which focuses on what the goblins do.
And
Just
the
to
thing-
drive that point home is that they have families and
Well,
they're
because
a
they kind
society.
of show it. They show some occasionally. They show the goblins when they're trying to find ones that they can actually take out. When they're a group of them, they avoid them. But if you watch the goblins, they look like, if you just ignore the fact that they're goblins, they look like they're ordinary people just hanging out and also surviving.
Yeah, they look like they're a border army as well.
It's also just kind of this nice slow-paced thing as well. It's not every day we're going out and
Gonna
hunting down
grind for
dragons.
skills.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want an anime that's all about learning to deal with what happens when you have to murder other human beings,
Yeah.
Gundam Requiem G.
Forget about it immediately. Just do it and forget about it.
So that's the RPG drama. The RPG comedy that I decided to watch this. Kono Subarashi Sekai no ni Shukufuku wo. We're not showing a PV for this. I don't know if we have a PV for this. It doesn't really matter. It's Konosuba for short. I was hoping it would be... It is a comedy. It definitely is. I was hoping it would kind of keep its shit in check.
What's the title again?
Kono Subarashi Sekai ni Shukufuku wo. Yeah, this amazing world, this
Yes.
beautiful, this,
Yeah.
brilliant world. It's... I can't recommend it, and yet I can't not recommend it.
What?
But it sure is a
I can-
thing.
So is it
recommend
aggressively mediocre?
Yeah, it
Is that
really
why?
is. It really
Oh.
feels
It's like
aggressive.
middle of the road.
I watch it and I laugh at some stuff, and then I watch it and I feel uncomfortable with some stuff, and then I'm left in this very...
I don't even feel uncomfortable with it. I just think it's shit.
That's what I feel like when I watch The View. So
Yeah, and it's just, I'm in this very kind of weird, uncomfortable position where I'm like, oh, this is a funny thing. So as an example, and this is like late into in 3rd to 4th episode of the show, this guy, okay, let's just start the whole thing. This guy dies, he ends up in like what's essentially purgatory in a way, and there's this goddess there, and she's like, you're an idiot and you died in a stupid way. Hey, I have an idea. How about you go to this world where they're fighting a devil king, and then I can bring you back to life, and maybe you can defeat the devil king. That'll be hilarious. And he's like, yeah, okay. And she's like, I'll let you take one thing with you. He's like, oh, I know, I'm taking you because you're a goddess, so you'll have all this unlimited power. And she's like, no, that was a terrible thing to do. Thump, they end up in the new world. And so he's like, I'm a NEET and I've played video games, so I know how this works. We have to go to Adventurers Guild. And they go and find an Adventurers Guild. And like, okay, you sign up and here's a card and you'll sign up for it and the card is magic and it'll determine all your skills. And it turns out he has incredibly high luck and high intelligence. And she doesn't, but she has high everything else, which you can't tell when you watch the series because she's fucking useless at anything. But that's funny. But she's a goddess, and it turns out they worship goddesses, and maybe they worship her, and it's not really that clear, but it is kind of clear. And then another character shows up, and she's a witch, but she's like a chuny, but she has explosion magic, but it's all fucking,
course a
I don't
chuny
care.
would.
We'll just skip through that whole thing.
Her character design is really cool. I like it, but
And then a woman shows up. It's all women. He has nothing but women who surround him and do whatever.
harem.
It's a harem. And so this woman shows up. She's very tall. She has a blonde ponytail, and she's kind of talks in like a slightly lower register. And she is a crusader type, which means she's a tank. And she sucks at hitting things, but she can basically absorb a ton of damage. And she's like, I want to join your party as well. Would you let me? And this is at the end of the 3rd episode, but she's very nervous about it. And Heather and I were like, oh, maybe her thing, because they all have flaws, maybe her thing is that she's like socially awkward. She doesn't know how to
she's
deal
got
with
some
other
social
people.
anxiety, which might be really interesting.
That might be kind of cool. No, he turns her down and she's like, and it's like, oh fuck, she's a hard M.
Yeah, she likes being rejected. She can't hit anything with her sword.
But she can absorb a lot of damage, which can make her armor fly off of her.
So she shields things and enjoys being hit by things. And it's just like, oh, this was not what I was expecting.
And then what sucks about it is like, the funny parts made me laugh, which was great. But the really more fetishy parts make me cringe, which is not great.
They just don't look that interesting to me.
And it seems kind of derivative. And what sucks is that it's like other shows we're watching this season, the funny parts make me laugh, and I want to see what happens. And I'm like, maybe they just overdid this for the first episode, because then it's like, look, we have this character who likes it when you abuse her, and we won't harp on that a lot, and maybe there'll be more of whatever later. So I'm going to watch a 5th episode, and if it reins itself back in and it's more interesting because all the characters get involved with shit, then great. But if they don't, then I'm going to drop it because I can't take it.
The problem I have with it is because I like characters who have some flaws. That's human. I don't like that the girls have all these really weird, harsh flaws, and then the guy's flaw is that he just doesn't have any skills.
He's the Tsukomi as well. He's always like, what are you doing? What? This is stupid. I can't. He's always reacting to their shit.
Yeah.
And they're the bokehs, and I'm like, I can't take it. It would be one
Too
thing
many
if-
bokehs.
Also, it's
kind
too
of, and all the
video
bokehs
gamey
are all
in, like,
girls.
every little detail that they do.
And it felt very unfair balance.
So,
yeah.
I don't recommend it.
I don't know if I recommend it because I don't know if it
wants to
gets
watch
any
more
better.
of it, but
I'm
I
going to
don't
watch more to
recommend
see if
it.
it gets any better. But
There's one thing
holding out
I'm
hope.
beginning to learn. It's that anime doesn't really change its stripes halfway through the series.
kinda
Trigger can get away with it, but even they don't. They just have their twisty reveal. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but
Do you have
wow.
anything else?
No.
Okay, because we're an hour and 22 minutes.
Yeah, I see the remainder of mine because it was Gundam 0080 War in the Pocket.
Which is great.
Which people should watch.
Yeah, from 1988. Not from the new series at all.
It's all in 4x3.
Yeah, if you'd like to cry, watch this. It's about
You want to
giant
see
robots.
the horrors of war through a child's eyes.
Yeah.
It's the shit.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
haven't seen it. I should watch it.
Collect all your officer badges.
Yep. It'll ruin you.
Like Pokemon. Got it.
So anyway,
That's the
that was the LRRcast for this quarter, where we reviewed
roundup.
our favorites or not so favorites from the last series and what we're looking forward to next time. What did we miss? What did you agree with? What did you disagree with? Put it in the comments or in the forums.
Go to the forum.
Yeah.
Go to the forum.
We read the forum a little bit more than the comments. It's a little harder to keep track of.
I read the comments.
Yeah, I do
Sometimes,
both, but
most of the time.
I would love it more if people would go to the forums and post in there, and then the conversations are a lot easier to have. than the
But tell
comments.
us
Yeah,
one way or
yeah.
another. You know, if we didn't see something, ask. We'll tell you.
Yeah,
what
we
think.
did watch other things. These were the shows we really, really liked above all, and we wanted to limit things so that this podcast doesn't end up 3
Yeah.
hours.
Also, recommendations based on the stuff that we liked would be good.
Yeah, recommend
Yeah,
stuff to us
that'd be
from
cool.
the future or the past.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you like what you see here, you can check out the rest of our stuff over at loadingreadyrun.com. That has links to all the stuff we do, and all that stuff is made possible by you, our loyal fans who support us at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun.
It keeps the lights on.
It keeps the lights on, it keeps food in our bellies and anime in our eyeballs. So thank you so much to all of you out there, and from all of us here in Anime Land, we'll see you guys in 4 months.
Ganbarimashou.
Hi, Dekimasho.
Bye.